Hello, and welcome back to Running on Pixie Dust. I am your host, Annika, and you can give me a follow on Instagram at Annika Hudak or my main Disney focused and running focused Instagram page at Annika's Paintbrush. Woo! Welcome to episode 28. I cannot believe I'm already at 28 episodes, and the fact that I'm recapping a coast to coast challenge, because that's crazy. I originally started this podcast to align with my first Dopey Challenge training for 2023. And if you haven't listened already, go ahead and check out episode 0 for that full backstory. But I can't even believe I did that. I still am in disbelief that this combination of trips and magic even happened, and that sounds so dramatic, but it really is that dramatic. Okay, so this is wild. I'm just so happy to be here. I didn't think I would get started with such a deep sentiment, but here we are. It's just coming from the heart. I didn't even have this noted down. It's just coming out. But running truly changed my life, and I'm so happy that I can have this platform to just speak out and ramble on my high horse and speak to whoever will listen. So if you're here, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you taking the time to listen to this. I hope you're having a great day. And if you're doing a little hot girl walk, I'm proud of you. If you're sitting on the couch, I'm proud of you. And to runners of all levels, I'm proud of you. So with that said, let's get into the episode, I guess. Disclaimer, I am not a coach. I'm not affiliated with anyone, and I'm just sharing my personal experiences and opinions for fun, for literally no reason other than it's fun for me. So yeah, welcome to episode 28. This is part 2 of the recap of the Dopey to Dumbo challenge. If you haven't been following along and you don't know what that is, Dopey was a part of Walt Disney World Marathon Weekend, and I did the 5K, the 10K, the half, and the marathon, 4 races in 4 days here at Disney World, and then flew across the country to do the Disneyland half marathon weekend and complete the Dumbo challenge over there, which was the 10K and the half marathon. So in this episode, I will be covering part 2, the Dumbo challenge, all things Disneyland, and the rest of Coast to Coast. Wild. All right, before I get into the recap, let's start off with some highs and lows. It's kind of a continuation of the ones I already spoke about in part 1 of the Dopey to Dumbo recap, but a little added ones. So starting with my highs, Coast to Coast, obviously, finishing that. That was such an experience. It was a fantastic experience, a great experience. I don't even know how to even put it into words, really, but I'm so glad I did that, and I'm glad it's over, but I'm sad it's over, so it's just such a bittersweet thing. But my next high is Disneyland, and while that wasn't the main focal point of the trip, actually doing a ton of stuff at the parks, it was still really nice to stay on property and be a part of all the fun, because race weekends are so great because you're just surrounded by fellow runners and such a good community, which brings me to my next high, the running community. It's just so special to see familiar faces at the runDisney expos and to be a part of a bigger group that are working towards similar goals, and people who have so much respect for the sport, and people who are there just because they love Disney, and all the above. And it's so unique because runDisney is already this unique experience, and then add in the great people you meet along the way, it just makes it that much more special. So my final high is just, I had so much excitement going into Dumbo because of how well Dopey went for me, and I had such a great marathon. I was riding that high for weeks, for literal weeks. It's taken me a while to record this Dumbo recap, so we're now in February, and it's been a month since I went to Disneyland, but I can't even explain like the high that I was feeling. It's the endorphins, weeks long. Like I was just on such a high. I was so motivated for running, and I was trying to run it out for as long as possible. So now that I completed Dopey at this point, going into Dumbo, this was just a victory lap. Like this was, we're taking it easy. We're just going to soak it all in and just have a great time. Like there were no time goals. There were no PRs or anything. There was just having fun. Moving on to my lows. Oh my gosh, the early mornings, never ending. Because with Dopey, you had 4 consecutive days of waking up at like 2 a.m. and putting your all out there and then going to bed early. And then I did have 2 rest days after Dopey. And then the next day after that, we would travel to California. And our flight was at like, it left at like 7 a.m. So we had to wake up and be at the airport however many hours before that. So it was just another early morning, and it like wasn't completely terrible because it's like you kind of had to stay on the early morning vibe because I was going to have to wake up early anyway for the races at Disneyland. But because of the time change, it was actually, my body was already waking up that early, so that wasn't hard either. So I don't know, not that it like wasn't hard, but it was just, you were kind of used to it. But never ending. Next low, I was exhausted by the end. As you can imagine, very long trips that I was so grateful for, but oh man, I was so ready to be in my own bed and to just like relax. Final low, Disneyland entertainment was subpar because there was no World of Color. Hello. That is the nighttime water spectacular in Disney's California Adventure, and I love to always catch that show. It's such a great show. And then there was no Magic Happens parade happening at Disneyland, which like those are the reasons we go. So everyone was super bummed that there was like no real special nighttime spectaculars happening. Like I think they still had fireworks, but it's just a quick show. And in California, if there's a single draft of wind, they like don't do the fireworks. So yeah, people had low hopes for that, but at least we knew like going in, it's not like it was all canceled like when we got there. But come on, you're gonna have a race weekend and then not have like your normal entertainment. Like come on. Granted, we probably couldn't stay up that late anyway, but and to be completely honest, at least now we didn't have to feel bad about like missing out on something if we like did go to bed earlier, you know? So before we get into today's episode, I'd like to share a new and special product from my friends over at The Lost Bros, one of the coolest small shops local to Orlando who sell the perfect gifts for all theme park lovers. They're releasing a new t-shirt and crew neck design just for us runners. Cody sent me the design and I died. It's called the 4 Parks Run Club Tee and Crew Neck, and it says the most magical PR on earth. That's so perfect. This design drops Monday, February 12th, and it will make it for Princess Weekend if you order right on Monday. Head to lostbrostradingco.com on Monday at 10 a.m. and use code ROPD shipping for free shipping on your order. That's ROPD SHIPPING, one word, for free shipping. Make sure you follow them on Instagram for all the latest updates at The Lost Bros. And now, back to the episode. Yeah. Let's cover the weekend now. Dumpy Part 2, Disneyland Half Marathon Weekend. Let's give you the play-by-play. Here we go. Wednesday was my travel day. Now this is 3 days after I finished the marathon. So we finished the marathon on Sunday. I rested Monday, rested on Tuesday, did laundry and unpacked and then repacked and then hopped on the plane on Wednesday. We got there so early. And then we got to California literally so much earlier than I thought we would. Like we got there and I was like, oh crap, we have like a whole day. And I'm already exhausted and the day feels like a full day already. But we were staying on property, so we checked into the Grand Californian Hotel, and our room was ready pretty shortly after that. We got very lucky because it was like we got there at like 11 a.m. or something ridiculous. So we relaxed at the hotel, we unpacked, and we had a bunch of room decorations again. So we like decorated the room. My mom got like a ton of fun things, and we got like she got a huge like dumbo. It was like a birthday party, probably like a tablecloth or something. But we like hung it up on the wall and just made it all fun. I did pop over into Disneyland, and it was a quick, I'm in, there's the castle. And I met up with some friends. I met up with Becca and like her family and friends and stuff. And then I basically left right after that because I was like, it was a chill day. And then I was going to go to Trader Sam's with my friend Alex and her family. So we did that, and we sat out on the terrace. I don't even know like what the difference. Do they have different names there, or is it all Trader Sam's? Because here it's like 2 names. But we went there, and that was like dinner for us at the Disneyland Hotel. We walked around and we saw where the expo would be. They had all the signs up and everything ready for the next day. So that was cool that we could kind of scope it out. And all the signs are so pretty. All the art is, and like colors were so nice. So that was just fun. And then I think I like headed back to the room and like had an early night. I was tired. And we had the whole weekend left ahead of us. So Thursday, Expo Day, the virtual queue for the merchandise, like the Run Disney half marathon weekend merch, you had to join the virtual queue in the Disneyland app, and that opened at 7 a.m. as opposed to 8:30 for Disney World. So they're like stuck with that 7 a.m. queue. I don't know why it's that early, because the expo starts at the same time as World does. But there was this weird location glitch, because I know people who were on flights nowhere near the state of California, and they were able to join the virtual queue, whereas me staying on property at the Disneyland resort properties, it was telling me that I was like not close enough. Like I was not in range to join the virtual queue, because you had to be within like, I thought it was like, I don't know, 90 miles or like something. You had to be closer to property, and I was on property, and it was telling me that I wasn't. So that was like really stressful. But then after doing a whole bunch of things, turning off my Wi-Fi, restarting my phone, restarting the app, and like troubleshooting it, I finally like got it. We ended up getting group 15, which was pretty good, but they did not move groups as fast as they do for World. Granted, this expo area is very small. Like the entirety of the expo, including bib pickup, including Run Disney merchandise, including vendor pickup, and the like Run Disney like pickup for your t-shirts area, everything for Disneyland's expo, all of that could have fit into like where our big bib pickup is. Like it is so small and condensed. Like there were still separate areas for everything, and it was all very close, but it was just really weird to maneuver and get around. So I don't know. On our way there, we had mobile ordered Starbucks, and that was super easy and quick. And then we walked over to the Disneyland Hotel, which was nice that we could just walk there. Everything is so close. We got there really early, like 9 a.m.-ish. And the expo didn't officially open until 10. I like to be early for things. I don't like to be late. And I like to scope it out. And we had no idea what to expect with the Disneyland races returning. And so I have done the Disneyland races before. I did the Neverland 5K. That was my first Run Disney 5K in 2015, TBT. And then the following year I did, I think the 5K, maybe not the 5K, but I did the 10K because I had pictures. I had to like go through Facebook and like scroll all the way back and like see what I did, because I don't know. I might have the medals like somewhere, but I was in college at that point, and things just got shuffled around because I moved so much, and like I wasn't like into running really at that time at all. It was just like a fun thing to do with my mom and like our friends, and so it wasn't like a huge thing for me. But all that to say, I've done the races there before, and I did have like, I remembered some of my experiences, some that I like couldn't recall like the differences, and I couldn't remember like how they did it before. But I also did the Star Wars 5K with my friends when they had that in January. I think that was 2017. So that was really fun. But so all this to say, my experience is coming from someone who has done Disneyland before and has done Disney World races before, so that I have something to compare it to. Like I wasn't going in cold. So just keep that in mind when I give my opinions. For Disney World, this expo still starts at 10, but like sometimes they call the groups in earlier. Like I remember, was it this year? One of the races, I think they called my group at like 9:40 or something, and I can go in and get in line and go right to the merch. So I just didn't know how it was gonna go. So I wanted to get there early and figure it out. But it was kind of a mess. People didn't really know where to go. There were volunteers and cast members, or I should say just they were cast members, because they're like not volunteers there. They have to be paid cast members to work these events in California. Cast members were kind of corralling us and like telling us where we couldn't wait. And then we all, like, they were kind of like shoving us all outside because they didn't want us gathering inside the Disneyland Hotel like walkways, which is like understandable. It was very cold out. Oh my God. We were standing out there for like an hour and a half, literally. Because granted, I mean, we got there early, but like there were people out there too. We were all clumped. We were all crazies. We were all early people. So I think the Club Run Disney people had like a different area to wait in. And then they were putting us in a line, even though we have our group. So it's like this line doesn't mean anything, because once they call our group number, we can go to the door and like go inside there and not be in this line. Like this line is just arbitrary and for no reason. So it was just kind of weird. They were lining us up weird, which didn't make any sense, because then another cast member ended up coming out like an hour later being like, this is not a line, like you have to wait for your group call. And it's like, yeah, we knew that. Like, hello. But it was pretty chaotic, and granted, there's not a lot of space because this is Disneyland. It is much smaller, but there are still lots and lots of people. So that was chaotic. We finally got our group called to go into the inside line, and that line was very slow moving because, again, it's a smaller merch area. They can only let so many people in at a time. So it was just kind of a drag to be waiting that long, because I think group 15 is a relatively early group, I would say. So I didn't expect to have to wait that long. So I think maybe I should have adjusted my expectations, because that definitely affected, like, I was just like, oh, are we going in yet? Like, I'm so over this. Like, I don't want to be waiting in this line again. Like, it was just like, I can't do this. So I was losing it a little bit because I was just frustrated. But I mean, we finally got into the merch area. I knew exactly how to work it because they organize it by event. So the 5K, 10K half marathon, and then they had the Dumbo challenge, and then they had a general weekend merch as well. So I was like laser focused. I had studied the Instagram stories of people who posted what was in there, and I had friends in Club Run Disney who kind of like let me know like what they had and like what they were getting. I did like a lap, and I like grabbed everything I wanted, and it was like literally Black Friday status in there. Like, granted, the expos always are for like the merch on the first morning, but it was a tight space. And at World, you have the big, what is it, the Advent Health building. So there's big wide open spaces where you can kind of take all your things and like edit and try on and like categorize and decide if you want something or not. Whereas like that wasn't really a thing at Disneyland because there was not room. Like, I saw people sitting and like going through their stuff in like the mobile checkout area, but like I didn't know if technically like if you left and went into that area, if you could come back in case you wanted to grab something else. Like, that wasn't clear to me, and we ended up just like finding this like spot next to a clothing rack that was like kind of out of the walkway to like go through our stuff and make sure if we needed anything else or like swapping things out or leaving things behind, that like we did that before checking out. So that was just chaotic. But I did end up getting the weekend ears. I got the half marathon jacket because the art is so fun. I love the D for Disneyland. I also got the windbreaker. It was really cute. They had a really cute, like for the weekend, a windbreaker. And they had a t-shirt that said, bring on the other half marathon. So I just loved that, and I thought that was super relevant to Coast. I did find the little mini metal replica pins, which was nice. Like I got the half marathon one, the Dumbo one, and then the Coast to Coast one for my little like Nuimo guys, because I had my dopey and my Dumbo. They needed their medals, obviously. Like that was like the one thing I like had to have, if nothing else. I ended up getting like a Spirit jersey too. I got way more than like I anticipated. That always happens. But anyway, we did mobile checkout, which was great, and then they helped us like bag it and like get ourselves together. But at that point, we're in like the big merch area, which there was a separated, blocked off area for the Run Disney merch that you had to enter from the outside with your virtual queue, and that's what we had done. But then there's like the vendor expo area, and then in the same like room essentially that they just extended all the way at the end were the Run Disney t-shirts, but like you can't pick up your Run Disney t-shirts until you go pick up your bib. The bib pickup was outside of this whole like large room area up the stairs to the next level, and that was its own bib pickup. So you had to exit this area completely, go up through the hotel to the next level, and go around all the way around to enter in, because they had one-way traffic going. So you could only enter in on this side and you could only exit on this side. And they were very, very strict about it, which like I understand, traffic control, got it. But I didn't have a pleasant experience with the cast members who were working that. I'm just gonna say that. That's it. So we went in to pick up our bibs, and since I was Coast to Coast eligible, it said it on my Expo Pass that I was, and I think it was like marked down next to my name or something with my bib. So when I got my bib, they gave me a wristband that said Coast to Coast on it, and that was for medal pickup after the weekend was done, so that they would know to give me my challenge medal for Coast to Coast, because there was no indication on like my bib, because my bib was just for the Dumbo challenge. So that's how I figured they would do it, because when I did Castle to Chateau, which is doing a half marathon in the US, so I guess at that point it was still Disneyland or World. You complete one half marathon in the US, and then you go to Paris Disneyland, when they still had their races. R.I.P. I did the last one, by the way. This was 2019, so that was the last one. And I went and did that half marathon that year, which was so fun. I literally rewatched my vlog the other day because I like had to scroll back in my YouTube history, and I was like, oh, I did vlog it, and I watched it, and I was so happy I vlogged it, because like I can't remember anything to save my life. But all that to say, that's exactly what they did. When you like got your bib, you got a wristband, and then that way when you finish the race, you go to like the special Castle de Chateau area to get your Castle de Chateau medal, so that they know to give it to you. So I figured that's what they would do, and honestly it was fine. It was an ugly blue wristband that we had to wear all weekend, but like it was cold, so we were wearing sleeves anyway. Whatever, not a big deal. From there, you had to go back to the big merch room and then go pick up your Run Disney t-shirts with like the tab that rips off your bib, and then the vendor area. So it was just like a little bit of chaos. It's all fine. Anyway, we left there, and the annoying part is, oh my god, I was like so over this by the end of the weekend, is security. So the Disneyland Hotel was kind of like kind of across the street from downtown Disney. It's like not literally like across a main street or anything, but like you have to exit downtown Disney to get to the Disneyland Hotel, and then to get back into downtown Disney you have to go through security again, because you're re-entering it, like a secure area essentially. So they don't have the walk-through, security deck, I don't know what to call them, but here at Disney World we have like just these like bar things that you just walk through, and then they pull you aside if they need to, or they just let you go if you're good. And the regulars know how to hold their umbrella out in front of them so that they don't set off the alarms, and they just go through, and it's just easy peasy lemon squeezy. But in California, they have to hand search every single freaking zipper pouch in your bag. Like, granted, I'm grateful for security. I understand why they do what they do, but it's just frustrating when you're like going back and forth places like this, that you have to keep going through security, and how like in depth it is, because there is no magic walk-through security sticks. Like, they have to individually have you open every single pocket, take everything out of your bag, and it just is so time consuming and annoying. Like, I get it, we need to be safe and all that, but like, when are we gonna get the magic sticks over there, huh? When is that gonna happen? Because that was a pain point for a couple times throughout the weekend, just saying. We hit Tortilla Joe's for lunch, which RIP, they're closing. It's so sad. Tortilla Joe's is like such a staple for downtown Disney. Like, I have so many good memories going there because that was like the spot to go for dinner. And because I lived in California, I was born and raised, so I like grew up going to Disneyland, and I went to college at Chapman, which was like 5 minutes from Disneyland, and so we were going every week and all that, and me and my friends would go there all the time. So there's just like so many memories attached with places at Disneyland, and that was one of them. So that's just a huge bummer. So we definitely had our like goodbye meal there because I think they close in March. But after that, we went back to the room, which was really nice because Grand Californian is connected to downtown Disney, and it's just a quick little walk. We dropped all our stuff off and then hopped into DCA, did some sightseeing, nothing crazy. I think we were going to ride a ride, but then the wait time went up like an hour extra than we wanted to. So I was like, nah, I'm good. We did go to the Magic Key Terrace for dinner because my mom is a Magic Key holder. Pass holder. I don't know what to call them anymore because they're not annual pass holders anymore. Whatever. The Magic Keyer. And that was cool because I've never been up there, and it like overlooks part of DCA, and it's just like a nice view. But we didn't really do much else because we were tired. The expo really took it out of us, man. We did watch Dumbo though before going to bed because we can like stream it to the TV through Disney Plus, so that was awesome. God, that movie makes me emotional, but we had to do it because like the Dumbo challenge, hello. Ended up having an early night though, which brings us into Thursday, which was the 5K. I did not participate, but I really wish I did. I regret not doing it, to be honest. Like, I thought it would really kind of be overkill, and like I don't really care for 5Ks with like the runDisney weekends. Like I like the challenges, and like I love 10Ks, but I don't know. I think at the time I was just thinking like this is already such an insane challenge. Like I don't need to add an additional race that's like not a part of the challenges. But like when I thought about it, I was like, oh, the 5K at Disneyland was my first runDisney race, and it starts and finishes in the park, and like, oh, I'm so sad I didn't do it. Like, and it ended up being that like I woke up that morning anyway because of the time difference, and like I felt great. Like I wish I could have done it, but oh well, too bad, so sad. We did decide to rope drop Disneyland, and so we were up early, and we poorly timed our Starbucks mobile order to when all the 5K runners were coming back. So we were waiting with all the runners in their Mylar blankets, and it was freezing cold. Oh my God. And I saw all these 5K runners in like skirts and tank tops, like with goosebumps so aggressively on their body. And I'm just like, oh my God, you're making me cold just looking at you. Because I was freezing. I had like 12 layers on, and I brought an extra like my Disney 100 jacket that's like pretty thick, and like I never get to wear it in Florida. But I'm so glad I packed it because I wore it on top of like my other like race weekend merge and jackets. So oh man. But we did get early entry into Disneyland with our hotel. So because we were staying on property, we can get that like extra 30 minutes in Fantasyland. So that was really fun, just like walking in right at open. I think it was like 7:30ish, and we get to scan in with our room key and like walk right around the whole crowd and just be like, later losers. So that was fun. We took advantage of that for sure. And we went into Fantasyland and rode Enchanted Wish. Is it called Snow White's Enchanted Wish? I think that's the name. I don't know. Didn't it change names? But had to see our boy Dopey. And then we went and rode Dumbo, which was fun but cold because, oh my gosh, the sun was like barely up, and like the wind. But we did get empty castle photos, which was like such a perk because that never happens. And that was really cool. And it was perfect, like sunrise kind of lighting. And the big crowd was just standing there like ready to rope drop themselves, but they didn't have like the early entry. So we rode like 8 rides in the first like 2 hours we were there, including Haunted Mansion Holiday, which the holiday overlay was the Nightmare Before Christmas overlay was still there. So that was fun. At least we got something for this weekend because there was no entertainment. But okay, not none, but you know, So that was great. That was like the first half of our day. And then Ashley came because Ashley was staying with us, but she had to stay back and work. So she couldn't come in to California until this day. So she met up with us and like we got her checked into our room and everything. And then we went to lunch at Craftsman Bar, which was yum-o by the pool. It was cold. I was just cold this whole weekend, man. I'm not built for cold temperatures. It was breezy. We did DCA. I think we rode cars this day. I can't remember. I didn't have pictures of anything. I have to like go through my camera roll to like remember what I did every day. We did Wine Country Trattoria for dinner, which was very good. Did some shopping, took some pics. We got the light up ears that have like the Disneyland park icons on them, which was really cool. And then early bed because next day is race day, bringing us to Friday, the 10K. Woke up at like 2:15, I think. I bounded a Scarlet Witch and it was cold. I literally wore like a Lulu Swiftly long sleeve, which is like the best for running. And then I wore like a down for it all vest, which was very warm, and my ear warmer, and then my like Scarlet Witch ears, and then took like hand warmers and gloves, and like I packed a Mylar blanket that I had left over from Dopey, and I'm so glad I took all of that because I needed it. It was so cold. We had to go through security to get to downtown Disney, and then walk all of downtown Disney from the Grand Californian, and then cross the Esplanade, and then exit downtown Disney through security, and then cross the street, and then wait in line to enter like the starting area, where we then had to go through security again and get hand searched everywhere. Which, I mean, it was like we were in our race clothes. Like I think I packed my spy belt, so it was just like my little bag, but it was just frustrating because it took so long to get through people. Get the magic sticks. But yeah, so that was annoying. We had to wait. Well, like I wasn't even sure if we were in the right place, like because it was just like we joined this line. Like we don't even know what time anything is opening and all of that. Because I mean, that was just a me thing. I didn't pay attention to what time things were open. I was just like, whatever, I'll follow the crowd. And this was rough because everyone was kind of on that vibe of like not knowing what to do and if we were in the right spot. And so people were just like taking out their anger and frustrations and like projecting it onto me and Ashley. And like me and Ashley are just like standing there just like waiting and like just excited to go to the race. And these people are like literally screaming. They're like shouting F-bombs and they're just like, blah, 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 this line is crazy, like blah, 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 like, and I had to go through this, and like, why are we in this line? This is terrible. This is like not how this was. I am not coming back. Like, it was aggressive. Like, it was very aggressive. Like, they were literally screaming in our faces, like trying to egg us on and like make us agree with them. But we were kind of just like, yeah. Like we were not engaging and like we were minding our own business, and like a girl in front of us was like yelling to the guy behind us, and the guy was like, yeah, you know what? Like I'm not coming back either. And they were just like, they were so crazy. And I was like, bro, calm down. Like we are in a line. Like it's Disney. You're going to be in a line. Like sure, it's annoying. No one wants to wait in lines, but like you don't need to be screaming like F this, blah, 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 like in other people's faces. Like, let's relax. Let's like take a step back and like look at the situation and like hear the words that are coming out of our mouths. How about that? It's early. It's cold. I do not need someone screaming in my face. Like, please. So that was just like really annoying. And that it was so hard to not let that affect us because it's like, we were excited and like ready to go, but then now this energy is just brought down so low, and like the vibes were completely thrown off at this point, and waiting in security was really annoying and frustrating, and it was not off to a great start. And we finally get in like through security again, and like they weren't even clear. They were like people with no bags in this line, but then people with bags in this line, but no one was following that, and it was just chaotic. I think my friend ended up telling me that the security like scanners, metal detectors, because you also had to walk through a metal detector even though we do a bag search and everything, they like broke down towards the end and they had people just like walk through. So it's like, okay, at least be consistent with your security checks. If you're going to dive into every single zipper like that I have, and then you're going to let 10 people over, you just like walk through and charge through without like doing anything, like checking anything, just having them like run to the race. It's like, where's the consistency in that? Because if you're not going to check everyone, then like how can you consider this like strong security? That's just like my question. So I digress. I did find my friends before we went to the corrals though, and one of them, it was their first 10K, so it was just a really exciting day, and I was so excited for her. Found some other friends, and we kind of were all grouping and walking to the corrals together, which was great. And it was a very small staging area. It was such an interesting experience because normally the announcers, aka Carissa Galloway and team, they only stay in like one staging area at World, and then they have them like broadcasted on the TVs or the screens. And here they have like a really small stage in like the finishing reunion area, and then they also had another stage by like the start line. And so they started at the staging area and they brought out characters, which was cool, and you were like super close to them, and then they like went over to the start line. So that was cool. It was very compact, like not obviously it's smaller than World, which is what I've most recently experienced. So I did hear people having problems finding bag check, but I don't know, like when I walked in, like I thought it was relatively clear, but I was also coming in, I think, from the north entrance. I could be wrong because there were 2 entrances into this racing area, which was interesting. My experience was kind of like relatively straightforward, but I know a lot of other people's was not. So anyway, found my friends in the corral and got the race started. It was not the same without the 3, 2, 1 go and the fireworks. Like, come on. And apparently there's like a rule that they have to say like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 instead of just like starting at 3. But I just thought that was funny. But anyway, we go with our lame send off. Like, oh, fine, we'll go with no fireworks. And we, I think, cut around outside and then go into the parks. For the 10K, it was a majority of it was like basically all throughout, weaving in throughout the parks, which was really awesome. We got to go through both parks, and we got to run down Main Street, which was just great, and running through the castle. Like, I love that about Disneyland races, that you get so much of the parks, because we don't get that at World, and we don't get Main Street at every race, so that just makes it more special. I will say, running through Avengers Campus was awesome. However, not a single character. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? You have so many locations where you can either put characters looking down, you can have them off to the side. Like, there were so many opportunities, and you're telling me not a single Avenger could be there. Are you kidding me? I was, like, honestly pissed off about that. Like, you're telling me this is the first race to run through Avengers Campus, and you're not going to put an Avenger in there. Interesting. And no photo pass. No photo pass in Avengers Campus. Like, what is that about? Like, I'm sorry. Hello? That was really annoying. And photo pass, if they were there, which they weren't in Avengers Campus, but like they were placed so like weirdly because at World, we're used to them having a green tent, big lights, you can see where the camera is, and they take a bunch of photos, and they get at least one of you like clear in frame and catching you like in your pose, like generally. Okay, that was not the case here. They said the tent's gonna be over here, and actually the photo pass photographer is gonna be over here, and you're not gonna see them because they're in the pitch black. Like, you literally could not see them, so you had no idea to like where to look or where to pose. And they would take like one photo, and it would be of someone blocking you, or it would be like you blinking or sneezing. Like, it was just like the worst, which was also very frustrating. And I was dressed as Scarlet Witch, so I was like practicing my hand pose for like the magic sorcery that she does. And we were on Main Street, and I saw the PhotoPass photographer. So I was like, okay, I see this one. I'm ready to pose. I did my pose. I held it. I literally held it. I was like swapping it around, and I was moving, and I was like, yes, I got it. I'm holding it. I'm going. I'm like, okay, I had to have gotten one. I was holding it. I was looking right at him, like, give me this photo. And I go to check. Not a single photo. Other than at the very end, there is one photo where I'm completely washed out, like a flash of white, and I'm like literally blinking. My hands are dropped, and it was like I was past the cameraman, I thought, at this point. That's the only photo I got. I was like, what? I tried so hard, and this is what I got. So that was just really frustrating. Like, come on. I get it. It's a coming back race weekend. Not these PhotoPass photographers aren't used to race weekends. This is maybe their first time ever working at PhotoPass, it seemed. No offense. But like, come on. Like that, I was just really annoyed by that. Anyway, my mom was spectating at the Esplanade, so I found her, I think, like halfway through, which was fun. She spectated all the races for all of Dumpy, so she's like a professional at this point. And I ran with my like faster friends, and so I was like trying to keep up with them. But it was still fun. Like, I had a good time. It was just like I was very, very disappointed by the lack of characters, the lack of PhotoPass, the quality of PhotoPass, and the overall vibes. I don't know. We pay so much money to be there, and like we want to enjoy the parts that like are important to us, and then to kind of be let down on those, like that was frustrating. Like, and I think it's in anyone's right to be frustrated about it because we are paying so much money to be there. So that's just my 2 cents. I got my medal, and then we got the heck out of there. We took a ton of pics at the finish line with my friends, but then we left. And then had to walk all the way back through security again to downtown Disney, and then back to our hotel, where we had breakfast at Storytellers Cafe, which was, I think that's what it's called. And it was character breakfast. So Mickey, Minnie, Pluto, Chip and Dale, and their like cute little like adventure outfits, and a buffet. It was a good buffet. And they had an omelet bar, yum-o, but it took 2 hours. 2 hours to dine here. Like, what? We asked one of the character attendants. We were like, we haven't like met the characters yet, and it's been an hour into your dining experience. Are you kidding me? Walt Disney World would never. Anyway, sorry, the Disney adult is coming out of me. It's just like I get nitpicky and frustrated because, hello, we pay lots of money to be there. Sorry. After that, it wasn't that bad though, because we were sitting and just relaxing and having a good time. But it was just like, really? 2 hours? 2 hours, huh? Okay. We enjoyed DCA after that. Park hopped to Disneyland. What a privilege. And we got Jolly Holiday for dinner. Of course, gotta get the grilled cheese and tomato soup combo. Chef's kiss. And then I got the Matterhorn macaroon, which I've never had before. Somehow, like, there are still things that I've never tried within Disney, even though I've been like 8,000 times. And like, that was one of them. And holy crap, how have I never had that before? It was delicious, amazing. I would 10 out of 10 go back for that. But it was chilly night too. I remember I was really cold at dinner. But at this point, I'm like super emotional that we only have one race left of Coast to Coast and Dumpy, and like my whole year has been leading up to this. And this will be like, the next day would be my first half marathon at Disneyland, which is super emotional because, again, my first RunDisney 5K was at Disneyland. And so I'm getting emotional. I can't help it. Just to see how far I've come with a 5K. Used to be like the biggest battle for me, and like I was not a runner and I hated running, and a 5K was like the biggest accomplishment out there. And like, not to say that it's not, like, it is a great accomplishment, and like if you feel that way too, like that is completely valid. And it's just crazy to think about that's where I started, and then kind of gradually started increasing it, like running the 10K the next year, and like that was such a big hurdle. And then in 2019 signing up for my first half marathon, and then it became so addictive after that, and signing up for half marathon after half marathon, completing like all the challenges I could that year. which like thankfully I did because hello, the next year is 2020. Anyway, but just to see like now I've completed Dopey twice, and this was gonna be a coast to coast challenge that I'll be completing. Like, crazy. So I was just like, I was in my feels on Saturday night because it was like you had one more day left and it was just trying to soak it all in. But we did go to bed early because like another race day. So Saturday we have the half marathon. We were up and out the door by like 3:15ish because again we had to go through security and walk all the way to the start, which like the walk was really fine. Like that was fine. But then had to go through security again for the 18th time. And I looked at my pictures and we were by the stage at 3:47 a.m. Like we were literally like one of the first people in there. Because I like being early. Like I don't mind standing around and waiting, to be completely honest. Like I would rather do that than feel rushed and be late and be stressed because I can't handle that. Half marathon day, a little bit nervy but like excited, and I packed on my fuel and I was like ready to go. I dressed like Dumbo for the Dumbo challenge and just more like a bound because I was just in all gray, and I randomly already owned elephant ears. Hello. I call my house like a Mary Poppins bag, essentially. Like it's just a house of wonders, a house of treasures. I dig through some of the stuff I own and I'm like, interesting. Like I could be ready for anything at any time. Any type of event. I've got something for it. I'm ready. Don't have to get ready if you stay ready. I was in Corral D this day, and because I don't have like a proof of time for half marathons, and I was like not super stressed about it because it's not like we weren't the last corral, and like there's nothing wrong with being the last corral, but something to just keep in mind that when you are a later corral, the crowds are a little bit bigger because there are a lot more people on the course at one time. Like that's just how it works. And oh my god, we were packed like sardines. Like of course you're packed like sardines in the corral, like that's completely expected and like that's fine. That's just how it goes. And this race started like 5 minutes late too. We were all like, it's like 5:05 and we haven't even sang the national anthem yet. Like, what's going on? We still don't know why we started late, but eventually Chris Galloway came out and announced like, all right, we're gonna get started. Like, and we were like, okay. Like, I got stressed because after what happened with our half at Walt Disney World, I was like, oh no, this is not good. Like, oh no, what does this mean for our race? Like, what's going on? And they wouldn't tell us anything. So, and they never did, but they had the countdowns. And the thing unique here with Disneyland as well is they sent the entire corral off at one time. Whereas at World, we send the corrals off in waves. So not the entire corral is going at one time. Because the entire corral going at one time is a lot of people. And granted, like, yes, they are smaller corrals at Disneyland, but it's a smaller space too. So, and you still have like thousands of people. So I didn't love that. And with being Corral D, like we already had 3 waves of corrals in front of us, and it was just interesting to kind of shuffle all as one and then just go. So that was not something I was used to. We were like very much shoulder to shoulder. And parts of the race, so like the first half of, I think like the first six-ish miles were like kind of in the parks. Like we wrapped around and then we go through the parks similar to how we did for the 10K. And the park miles were fine. Yes, it was crowded, and yes, I have a couple notes on that. But like it was early on in the race, and so that's like, all right, I kind of expect that. Me and Asha had to go to the bathroom though. We were like, we cannot hold it. We gotta go. And I think we did a bathroom stop after like mile 2. But then we saw like our friends who had started in earlier corrals had texted Ashley like, there's Dumbo meeting. Like the scary Dumbo is meeting. And we knew where he was. And so we were like trying to run and find him. But we go and the stage is empty. Dumbo was not there. Because Dumbo had to meet for 30 minutes and then say goodbye and take a break and then come back. So we went by and there was no Dumbo, which is frustrating in a race if you have to wait 30 minutes for a character to come back. So I don't like, that was a bummer because Ashley like was so dead set on meeting him, and I was like, all right, like I'll wait with you because this is your dream. Live your dream. I support your dream, and if that's the one thing you want to do, like let's for sure do it. And that was such a bummer. So we got past that and we were like, oh, we missed him. And we'd hit the bathroom, and the bathroom took forever because like all of the early park bathrooms, like we skipped a lot because like we were both like, we gotta go, but like this line's too long. And so we kept going, like checking bathroom after bathroom, but they were all long. So we were just like, oh, all right, like let's just get in this line, I guess. And waited, I think, in Avengers Campus. So, I mean, that was like a choice that we made. Like that was fine, but that was, we're like between mile 2 and 3 now. Okay, so mile 3. Mile 3. Oh, how I won't miss you. At this point, we had looped through DCA. I think we were backstage somewhere. We see a crowd. Okay, so we're coming up onto the crowd. Oh, we're stopping. Oh, we're standing. Oh, we are completely at a standstill. We are halted at the mile 3 marker number because there's a water stop causing a major bottleneck. Like, major. I understand we have to lower our expectations for working out the kinks, but two things can be true at the same time. And I think that it's also valid for us to have certain expectations because we are paying a lot of money to be there. Like, point blank period. Okay? So this water stop happened. Apparently, according to the Facebook pages and the them of the internet, they say that this water stop is like normally there for races. And like, it's not something I could recount. Like, I don't recall something like that happening for my past Disneyland races. Granted, I didn't do a half marathon, so there were fewer people. So keep that in mind. But this mile 3 stop was so bad. Like anyone in, I think, corral like C, D, E, we had the hardest time with that. So I'm told, like, I think there were still a little bit of bottlenecks for like the other corrals, but like we had it the absolute worst. We were legitimately standing in one spot, not moving. And I have videos to prove it. And like, we were just like, me and Ashley were looking at it like, well, cool. All right. I looked at my Strava, or my Garmin, for my mile 3 split. And it said it took me like 22 minutes. 22 minutes for mile 3. Interesting. So it's already like not off to a great start. And I tried not to let it like put me in a bad mood, but like, I don't know. It did affect me, and it affected the rest of my race, to be honest. And at that point, we were passing through the Esplanade, and my mom was spectating again, so it was exciting to see her, and I really tried to like push through and like keep a positive attitude and not let it like ruin the race, because it's like, that's not a race ruiner, but like it did dampen my experience for sure. Like, we went into Disneyland and like we were running down Main Street, and like they had projections going, and it was cool, and it was special to be able to run down Main Street, and like I was taking like videos and stuff, but like my energy at that point, like my vibe was killed a little bit, to be honest. And I was like taking videos, and I couldn't give what I want to give for my videos, and like I was kind of just like running. So, I mean, that was kind of a bummer. It was special to run by Dumbo and to run through the castle, so that was fun. After the first half, though, now we're in the Straits of Anaheim, so it's basically like a road race of any other kind of race, and half marathon's already not like my favorite distance, and I keep having like poor half marathon experiences, so I don't know, like, because before this, my last half marathon was last dopey because we had the half, so it wasn't like it wasn't a full half marathon, which if you need more details, go check out part 1. But I didn't do Wine and Dine. I didn't do the Princess half last year, and I didn't do any other halves. So my only other half marathons were when I was like a less experienced runner, and I like wasn't really big in fueling, and like I just hadn't had great half marathon experiences. Like I just didn't have those like yay race moments. Like they were still good, and I still finished, and you know, I guess felt all right, but like not like a great race. You know what I mean? So this being my like first half marathon in a while, it was mentally like interesting going into it. But on the streets of Anaheim, there were so many like bumps in the road. Like it was rough. It was like rocky, bumpy, and trippy out there. I'm like naming dwarves. And I consider myself a pretty well coordinated person. Like I don't fall very easily, and like I didn't fall. Just spoiler alert, I didn't fall. But I like was stumbling a lot. Like and I was tripping on a lot of things. And that's like very off brand for me. So that's also telling me like this road was awful. And it was like that bad that like I was stumbling all over the place. And so many people fell. So many people fell. Like I heard people, I saw people from afar just face planting, and I saw this one lady like nearly in front of me, full on face plant. And I felt so bad for her. Thankfully, like she had people around her helping her, and like someone like went behind to like steer traffic and like make sure other runners didn't like run into her or the group. And the worst part about that was there were no medics. Like not a medic in sight. Like in World, we have people on the bikes. You can literally yell medic wherever you are on the course, like wherever you are, and someone will hear you. There will be some way to get a medic's attention. There will be someone on a bike who has like a walkie who can get you help. That was not the case here. Now, people say that there were medics off to the side and that maybe you couldn't see them very well, or like at certain street corners there were medics but they were in like street clothes, and so like you couldn't tell that they were a medic or something like along those lines. But I'm talking on this big stretch of road that we had, I'm telling you, there was not a medic in sight, and like there was no one to help her, and that freaked me out. I did not like that. And there was no one to call. Like you have to just call 911, I guess, if you get really hurt. Like I did not like that at all. That was scary, and I did not appreciate that. And I wasn't even the person who fell. But had I been the person who fell and like I couldn't get a medic, I would have been annoyed. Because like I don't know. That is just a difference I've noticed between World and Land, that I didn't feel as safe as I normally do. Like you're at Disney, and that's like a place that you would generally feel safe, but now with the circumstances here, obviously they can't, like Disney doesn't own the land around the Disneyland parks, so you are at the mercy of the city of Anaheim. So they can't have like Disney sanctioned like cast members out there, essentially. I think I don't know the rules or anything, but I'm just like speculating and sharing my opinion. But I hated that. Hate. There were people along the roads because like we were running past people's houses and like down the streets next to In-N-Out, and like, you know, just like the streets of Anaheim, like, and people were out spectating, which was like great. But like there were a couple people standing outside their house, and they had a big dog. Like I'm talking a big, scary, like cartoon character looking like guard dog. And listen, I'm a dog person. I love dogs. I did not want to be anywhere near this dog. This dog was scary as hell, and like it was bigger than the owner. I'm not even exaggerating when I tell you it was like bear sized, and not in a cute way, and not in like a nice way. It was very aggressive looking, and like not to discriminate against dogs that are aggressive looking, but this dog was like jumping up on its owner. Like it could reach the owner's like shoulders basically, and was like pushing him down. And this is just right next to the course. Like if he lost control of this dog is like, who knows? Like will it run towards the runners? Like you can't know that. And so that was really scary. I did not appreciate that. And like, not that that's like Disney's fault or anything. Like that's just a person in front of his house probably, but like I didn't like that. I that's just like was adding to my list of like, this is why I don't like road races. And it was just challenging to maneuver around people, and it was so packed. Like I felt not claustrophobic, but there were times of the course where it's like you usually can spread out a bit more. That like wasn't really happening. Like yes, we could spread out on like the wider roads, but again, you're trying to like avoid all the dips and cracks and bumps in the road. So it's like you're navigating that, you're maneuvering around people who are like walking a lot, which is like fine. Like I support run walkers, but it is challenging when there's just that many people in one spot. So we get to near the end of the course. This was like before mile 11, and it turns into like a trail run. We're like running down dirt and up another hill and towards Angel Stadium, and it was packed like sardines. Like we had to walk because we physically could not move any faster. So like I have expectations that it's going to be busy, but like it's frustrating when you can't run how you want to run and get what you want out of it. So to sum it up, I did not have a good time at this race. I like did not like it. I don't think I will be doing another half marathon there. Like I'm good. So my knees were hurting for the second half, and I just like, they'd been through a lot, and I knew that was going to happen at some point, but my knees were hurting. I was aching a little bit. I could not wait for this race to be over. Like I was dragging the last like 4 miles, and I was just frustrated. And the parking lot of Angel Stadium was giving Blizzard Beach parking lot. And if you know, you know. And I don't know. I could not wait for it to be over. And I hate that feeling. Like I want to enjoy it, and like I want to soak it in and have fun. But I did appreciate there were a couple more characters, and there were more photo paths. They weren't spectacular still, but like we did get a few fun photos, and I appreciated that. They had Mickey and Minnie at the finish, like on our level, as opposed to like being on like a platform. So that was really cool to run by them, and like Jeff Galloway was out like giving people high fives and like cheering us on and spectating at like the curve of the finish chute. So that was nice. We finished, and oh my God. Well, right before the finish, too, there was the mile 13 marker, and that was rough because it was, like, within the spectators. So, like, you couldn't necessarily stop to get a picture with it because, like, it was, like, on the fence, kind of, and there were spectators lined up against it. But people, and this happens, but because it's such a smaller walkway and there's more people in a smaller space, it's more annoying because people came to a dead stop at this mile marker while people are like running behind them, and like yeah, enough said on that. Anyway, you go through the finish chute. I was so happy to be freaking done, and you go get your medals, and like here they like immediately give you your medals, and it was like kind of overwhelming because after this particular race, I was getting 3 medals, and they were like jam-packed, like boom, 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 medal, 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 and you had to like know where to look or else you would have missed it, I'm sure, because I finished, I got the half marathon medal, I had my Dumbo bib, and so they were like, Dumbo, Dumbo, and I was like, oh, where's Dumbo? Like, okay, and then I grabbed it, and then they were like, okay, coast to coast is over there, and I had walked past it, and I literally didn't even see it. It was just such a jumble, and they were like, oh, coast to coast, and I was like, wait, I'm coast to coast, wait. And then they like cut off your wristband, and then they hand you the coast to coast, and then they're like, okay, go. And I was just like, ah. So I like did that. Thankfully, I got all 3 of my medals, and I think I overheard that some people like had to go back and be like, wait, like I didn't see the Dumbo one, like I didn't get it, and that was chaotic. But I was done. I got my medals. I got my ice on my knees at the med tent after the finish, and just kind of soaked it in. I was really glad it was over, but I was sad that like coast to coast was over. But like at the same time, I was like, finally. I remember I finished icing, and then I did meet some friends, and then by the time it was done, me and Ashley, we like went to go snap some pics. It was so crowded and chaotic in that small area. I just like, I have expectations of crowds, but like these crowds were just aggressive and much worse than I was expecting, to be honest. So we like, I had my mom like, I was like, can you just snap a pic of me and my medals, and then let's get out of here. I wish I could stay here all night. Thank you all. Let's get out of here. That's how I felt. I was like, let's get the hell out of here, because I don't want to be around this group anymore. I'm done. I will say they were not stingy about their water bottles. They had like tables set up of like the Dasanis all lined up, ready to go. So, I mean, I'm sure that was nice for people who needed extra water, I guess. We got back to the room. Oh, no. Before this, on our way back, when we go through security again for the 800th time, and they have to search our entire body. Okay, not really, but there was really long lines to get through security to go into downtown Disney. And so we were standing there waiting, and that took a really long time. And we were just surrounded by people. And I was just talking to my mom and just kind of explaining, like, oh, that was kind of an awful experience. Like, that was my experience. That's my opinion. That is how I felt. Like, I just did not have a good time. Like, there were times where I had fun. I was glad to be there with Ashley, and we did our best. And there were parts where I did enjoy, and I was happy to be there. But, like, overall, I was really, really disappointed. And I was kind of just, like, explaining this to my mom, and, like, people in front of us were, like, definitely eavesdropping. And they turned around and they were like, yeah, like, it used to be way better. And I was like, I know. I've also ran here before. And I don't know. People are just weird. Like, listen, I'm a Disney adult, a Swiftie. I get it. Like, I can be very opinionated and annoying. I'll just speak for myself. I can be very opinionated and annoying and outspoken. But, like, there are people that are worse than me. And for whatever reason, they found me that day. And they were just, like, not having it. That, like, I was explaining my experience to my mom and, like, decided to butt in on a conversation. It was just like, okay, all right. Like, fine, we're talking in a public space, but I'm not, like, standing with a microphone announcing to the world. Like, I was talking at, like, a normal volume to my mom about my experience. Anyway, I did notice for people in front of me, like, a lot of runners. I felt so bad for this girl. She, like, you could tell the chafing got to her. She was having a time, and I felt so bad for her because, like, girl, been there. But it was just like, oh, get me back to my room at this point. I'm sick of this. So we finally get through security, and they made my mom, like, throw away her sign, by the way, like, her spectating sign. And it said something like, don't just fly, soar, dumbo. Like, it said something like that. Like, it was nothing, like, inappropriate. But, like, for whatever reason, like, signs aren't allowed at that point. And, like, at that time, the parks were open. So they, like, were like, well, what does your sign say? And they, like, made her unroll it. She was like, okay, just, like, take it if you want it. And they were just so rude and annoying about it. Like, if you can't tell, I did not have good experiences with security there. So I'll just say that. We get back to our room. We order our expensive-ass room service because we had placed it the night before so that it would be ready when we got there. And, oh, man, that was perfectly timed. Damn, I'm good. But we had these huge breakfast burritos, which were delicious and perfect for post-half marathon fuel. And just kind of, like, vegged in the room. Me and Ashley were like, on the bed. And took our time getting ready to, like, go take medal pics. And my friends came and met us. So that was just, like, a nice gathering time. We went into Disneyland to get our castle pics. And my Michael Phelps moment finally came. Oh, yeah. If you don't know what I'm talking about, read a book. Jesus, come on. But, you know, Michael Phelps, the Olympic swimmer, if you don't know who that is, I don't care. Michael Phelps sticks out with all his gold medals, and he has, like, famous pictures of him with all of his medals because he has, like, a sickening amount of them. And so I call it the Michael Phelps pose when you have, like, all your medals. So, like, obviously I wanted to get that, and I posted about it too when I signed up for Dumpy, about how I would be getting my Michael Phelps moment at Disneyland, and it's finally here. So we walk in and we had, like, all our stuff ready, and this part is so fun. I really enjoy the community at this point because you see so many other runners taking pictures with their medals and just feeling so accomplished. And a lot of people get so creative with setting up their medals on, like, fences and stuff. And we walk in and someone had all their medals, like, beautifully displayed, and they, like, took some pictures and they were, like, finishing up. And so we walked up and we were like, oh my gosh, like, can we please, like, take a picture of this? This looks so great. And she was like, yeah, take pictures. And, like, we got pictures with her set up. And so that was just so nice of her. And runners were so great because, like, when we got up to the castle and we were, like, taking our pictures, I had my, like, Dopey and Dumbo little guys with, like, their little mini medals on, and I was taking pictures of them, and people were like, can I take a picture of those? Because I was, like, holding them up by the castle and getting, like, fun pics, and I was like, yeah. So that was great. That was like a nice part of the community. And oh my God, those 10 medals are heavy. We like put them all on at the same time, and like I had to use both arms to hold them up, and we were taking so many pictures that by the end I was just like, ugh, like my arms can't even hold them. And like for my actual Michael Phelps pose where I had like my arms out to the side, like I had to like take breaks. Oh my God, so what a drag it was. But yeah, I mean, I love being dramatic if you can't tell. So anyway, had a great time with that. And I turned to my friend who was like helping me take pictures, and I was like, oh, I just need to have a tantrum for like 10 seconds, and then I'm good. I just have to complain for like a minute, and then we're good. We're solid. Flynn Rider was like walking around because Disneyland, all the characters just like walk around and come say hi to you, and it's special. So Flynn Rider like came and like took a picture with us, and he was like holding the Lost Princess tiara, and hopped in some pics. So that was fun. Got my coast to coast pics. We went over to Dumbo, and we got some Dumbo pics too, of course. And then we park hopped over to DCA for lunch, and we literally just like chilled in the San Francisco area for like, I don't know, hours. Like we were just sitting there, we ate, and then just like just sat, and it was great. I think we like chilled a little bit longer, and then we ended up going back to the room and just hung out. And then my friends took us to In-N-Out for dinner, because of course you gotta get In-N-Out when you go to California. And oh man, I missed In-N-Out so much. So that was great. And then just wrapped off the weekend. Solid weekend. Like still a great trip overall. I just my half marathon experience was not great. But I mean, I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I did Dumpy, and overall I did have a good time. So Sunday was my travel day. Bruh. I gave myself plenty of time to get to LAX, but then I got stuck in traffic because they closed the highway while I was on it. And we were at a standstill for an hour and a half. So it took me literally 2 hours, I think at least 2 hours to get to the airport. I was scared that I was going to literally miss my flight because of this traffic. And so I was stressed. And I had to check my bag too. So I had to like leave time for that and then hope that it made it on the airplane, because I've been told this in the past. It's been a while, but that like someone told me that if you try to check a bag within like the hour that you're supposed to depart, that like it's not guaranteed to like make the flight basically, and that if you're checking your bag like the earlier the better. But I was stressed about that. But I finally made it to the airport. I thankfully saw like curbside check-in, and like there was only like one person in line, so I like ran over there, checked my bag in really fast, and then thankfully I did that because like there were long lines everywhere else. I ran to security. Thankfully I'm TSA pre-check. It's a must nowadays. I definitely PR'd my airport mile for sure, but my luggage made the flight. I made my flight. It was fine. But I even had time to stop at the gift shop like in a matter of like literally 30 seconds. I like grabbed a sandwich, I grabbed a water, and I like grabbed like a snack, because I will not go on an airplane without food and water, because as we've learned, you could get stuck on the tarmac for 6 hours with no food or water. Yes, that did happen to me. So now I refuse to step on an airplane without sustenance and like all the things I need. So I made sure to have time for that. I like ran to my gate, and like it was fine. And on my flight there were so many people with like half marathon jackets on and like the Spirit jerseys and merch, and so that just made me happy. I ended up sitting next to someone who was a perfect dopier, and he was also a fellow coast to coaster, and apparently like was a perfect Dumbo, I think, when they still had it going. It was just like fun to chat with fellow runners, and then I made it home and finally went to my own bed. Yeah. So that was the weekend. That was such a long recap, but as you know, I love the details. If you've listened this far, I appreciate you. Moving on to the final segment, by the numbers, countdown for next races. We've got Princess coming up. I am doing the full weekend, the 5K, and then the Princess Challenge, the 10K, and the half marathon, and that's in 2 weeks. Dang, girl. That's crazy. Yeah. Total mileage for Dumpy, 67.9 miles, baby. Next episode, I will be comparing my like first dopey experience to my second dopey experience and kind of walking through everything that I did differently slash like attempted to do differently and like things like that, and things that I've learned along the way in case you are interested in doing dopey, or if you've done it and you kind of just want to hear like what my experience was. Stay tuned for that. But thank you so much for listening and get moving.